Hello guys, Screezilla here, I hope you're all well. So, recently there has been an update on War Thunder, and it's an update to base's health. So in my last video I did on War Thunder bombing tips. The information I've given you from 4.0 plus is now wrong. Now, and originally this said it was implemented on 6.0 and above, so matches at 6.0 and above. BR, that is. However, I have found that any plane from 4.0 onwards is affected by this buff to the bases. Now, what does that mean, I hear you asking? Basically, the buff is up the base's health by what they're saying is 20%. It's probably a bit more than that actually, because beforehand a base took 665 kilograms to kill, and that's TNT base or equivalent. So once this runs over, I'm going to show you in the hangar what to look at and how to work out your bomb capacity basically. So it used to be 665, it's now gone up to 907 kilograms, which is 2 tons. So it used to be 1.5 tons, now it is 2 tons to kill a base. Now what does this mean? Well, quite a lot for a lot of bombers. Now it doesn't make any difference to the Japanese, the Americans, or the Germans overall if you're using the 1,000 pounders, 1,000 kilogram bombs, or 1,000 pounders, or the 800 kilogram bombs. You still need 4 for the Americans, 2 for the Germans, 2 for the Japanese, and for the Russians again if it's I can't remember what bombs actually the Russians have in that range, but for a 1,000 pound bomb generally you need 2. 1,000 kilogram bomb, sorry, you need 2. But it does depend on its kilogram mass of TNT of explosives. Now, the Lancaster had the best 1,000 pound bombs in the game. The Mark 1 MC 1,000 pound bomb. And what that was is it was a bomb with 297 kilograms of TNT in it. So it meant it was really, really powerful. So you could take out a base in 3 hits without any problems. Now, however, it takes 4, because you'll have around about 5% of the base's health left after you drop 3 bombs. So it's very frustrating for Halifax onwards. So this affects the Halifax, the Sterling, the Lancaster, and the Canberra. So quite a hefty list of planes there that it does seriously affect. Now, the Halifax, it could actually work for the better if you were able to sort of select what bomb you dropped. Unfortunately, because you can only drop your 500 pounders first, you can't sort of keep them in reserve. So you can't drop 3 1,000 pounds and 1 500 pound bomb. You can only drop the 500 pounders and then the 1,000 pounders. So it makes it very hard in that regard. It used to be all of the 500s and then 1,000. Should still be the case, but I will do some maths after this just to double check it. But it does mean you have less bombs at the end of the game. It means that if you do a successful base run, you're going to be using up 12 bombs. So instead of using up 9, which is what we used to use, you're going to be using 12. It also means that the Wyvern can no longer take out a base. So very few, I don't think any attack aircraft can now take out bases. Might still be able to with, say, a Jug or something, or an AD2, carrying Tiny Tims, sorry, and some bombs on it. But it's a bit unlikely. So this does really change the balance of the game for high BR bombing, which I think is to the detriment of the game, because it makes it very tricky for medium bombers. Now, I love my Lancaster and I love my big heavy bombers, but with this change implemented, it means that you can no longer take out 2 bases, say, with a medium bomber. You can only take out 1.5 or 1.25 sort of thing. So those bombers are really going to be affected. Now, the bombers I'm talking about are your things like your Heinkel HE-111s, although they're not in that BR, but the Dornier, whatever it is. Sorry, my brain's gone blank there. But basically a medium bomber. Luckily, below 4.0 is all fine. But for things like the Tupolev Tu-25, I think it is, that will really be nerfed in game now. It's going to really be affected, and that's quite a shame, really, because it makes it harder for bombers and it gives us less reason to go for bases as targets, which means that there's less sort of, you know, it makes it harder to win the game, basically. And it really affects bombers with smaller payloads now. So it's really changed that balance, and not for a good way. Now, the reason they've done it is because I've also upgraded the Airfield Health as well. Airfields now have a much higher health rating as well. So it's basically to stop the B-29s and Tu-4s from winning a game in the first couple of minutes by just bombing out everything. The same thing could have been achieved by simply just upping the Airfield Health, which I think would make more sense all in all, because the bases are things that people grind for and get their to get experience and to help them out. So to lose that sort of ability to take out bases with ease, it really does affect bombers. Now, you notice there I dropped 1 on an AA and then 3 on the base, just because I'm just getting points, basically. I was just lion farming in this match, and this was my first game since the update, which, as I said, I read as 6.0 and above. So you can imagine the shock I received when I found out that 3 bombs no longer killed a base. It does mean that you get a greater TNT amount per the kill, but the big thing that it changes is, well, the base's health, and that really does screw up everything, because if you're not sort of paying attention, or if you don't know that there's been a change, it can really affect your game. So as you see here, I've dropped my normal payload on all the bases. On this last base, I think I dropped 4, because I was just scratching my head thinking, well, did my bombs miss or something like that? I was actually questioning whether I actually missed with a couple of bombs. But no, it's just the health of the base has been up to that little bit. So this also means that the Canberra can no longer take out 2 bases in a game as well, in realistic battles. So the Mark 1, I think, the first Canberra you get, basically, you have you carried 6,000 pounders. In the Mark II you carry 5, so you could never take out 3 bases with that one. But you could usually take out 2, sort of 1, and then kill a couple of ground targets, and then go bomber hunting with the quad Hispanos on its belly. But for the standard Canberra, it really has nerfed it, because you can no longer take out those 2 bases at the start of the game. You actually have to pretty much take out 1 base, go hit the next base with 2 bombs, and then repeat. So you have to do 2 runs to kill 3 bases, and that's very tricky, because in any bomber to do more than 1 bomb run is really hard, because, well, you're sort of buggered when you land, because you land, of course, and then you need to gain altitude. Now in the Canberra it's not quite as bad, because that thing does gain altitude quite well, because it's a jet, of course. But in a Lancaster, in a PE8, in a B29, a B17, B24, anything like that, you're going to have a really, really hard time to come back and rebomb a base. The reason they've done it is so that you can't all kill the airfield in one go. But at these BRs you never could do that anyway. So it's got me scratching my head a little. On your own, that is, you needed at least 3 bombers to kill a base. You needed 29 bombs to kill 29,000 pounds of bombs to kill a base. So it was very team. You needed a team to do it, and it was very tricky. But with and this was me just scratching my head, being like, well, this really makes no sense. As you can see, I just checked out where the bomb hit. So yeah, it's really, really damaged the game for high tier bombers now, and especially, as I said, for bombers of a 4.0 and above rating. Now I'm going to end the video here, because nothing more interesting happens. I just wanted to show you the base run. But what we are going to do is just go back to the hangar, and we're just going to have a look at some bomb loads. So as you see, 6 tons of bombs to kill 3 bases. I did get 2 ground target kills, just the AAAs. So as I said, this is from 4.0 onwards. So B25s, they've never been able to kill a base, simply because of the American bombs. But it really, really, really hurts them in the long run now, more so than before. So yeah, so as you see, with 240 kilograms of TNT, they always had that tiny little bit of health remaining on a base. Now it's going to be even worse, so it really does affect those planes. The main thing though is your things like your B17s. So with the B17's bomb loads, the 2,000 pounder is not going to kill a base in one go. Not that it ever did. You do need to drop 2 of these beforehand as well. But it's sort of almost dull to that point. What you could do is drop 1 2,000 pounder and have a friend who is dropping the 500 pounders if you're working as a team. And you drop one of those, and the base would be dead. 2 of those, actually, sorry, 2 of the 500 pounders. But now that's gone out the window. So what you have to do is drop 4 1,000 pound bombs, and then drop 2 on a base. So 2 B17s can take out 3 bases, and that's it. But that's always sort of been the case, so it's not too much of a change for their gameplay. However, it really does affect it with the use of the standard 500 pound bombs. So with the 500-pound bombs, you do not have enough to take out a single base now, I don't think. Let me just check. No, you have just about enough to take out a single base, but every single bomb needs to hit, so it's much harder. So for 8 of those bombs, that produces 944 kilograms of explosives, but every single one of those bombs has to be accurate. Generally, that's not the case. So you'd have to do 2 passes, dropping 4 each run to take out a single base. Whereas before, I think you could actually take out sort of take out a single base with about 5 of those, or 6 of the 500-pounders, and you'd have a couple in reserve, and it didn't matter if a couple missed, so you could sort of have that little leeway. But now you're pretty much, you need every one of those bombs to hit. The B-29, of course, when you start out, you've got the 500-pounders. Again, you're going to have a similar issue. You need to drop 8 of those, and all 8 need to hit a base. So you're still going to be able to take out 3 bases with the B-29, but it's going to be a lot trickier. And generally it's going to take 2 passes because those 500-pounders aren't very accurate. So that's going to be a bit of an issue, I think, for a lot of players. What was the AD2's payload? Because I can never remember that one. Yeah, so they did have the 2,000-pound bomb. So the AD2 can still take out a base, but it needs to basically, well, no. Let's have a check on that one. Yeah, so the AD2 can still take out a base, but it needs to use rockets and bombs on it. So that makes it pretty tricky sometimes. I would suggest taking the Tiny Tims. 2 of those will actually take out a base. And then if you drop the 2,000-pounder and fire off all your HVAR rockets, you can also take out a second base as well. So weirdly, if you want to take out multiple bases, you're better off taking the Skyrider, the AD2, because that thing can take out 2 bases in one pass, whereas everything else is a little bit stuck. The P-47, P-47 can take out a base as well, but it will only be 1 base, and again it's going to need to use rockets to finish it off. So Germany now, so your Stukas are still fine because they're below that 4.0 threshold. However, your DO-217, this is going to start hurting quite a lot. So until you get the 4,000 kilogram bombs, you won't be able to take out 2 bases. Really, you won't be able to take out 2 bases. With the 500s, you can take out 1 base, but they all need to hit. The 250s, you can take out 1 base again, but again, all of them need to hit. So that's a very tricky thing. So until you get the upgraded version, because you start off with the 4 250s, you can't take out any bases. So that is really a big effect on them, because it makes it a lot harder. So they're going to have to do a lot more ground pounding. So yeah, it's going to affect them quite a lot in that regard. So it's quite rough working with those sort of areas and things like that in the game. So once we get onto the other Dorniers in the lines, again, they all carry similar bomb payloads. So, you know, you can take out the two with the 1,000-pounders. The Arado will not be able to take out a base. So the Arados can no longer take out a base with their payloads. So yeah, neither Arado will be able to take out any bases with their payloads, unfortunately. So just to show you what I'm looking at here is just as you look on the bomb. Now the bomb's actual total weight is 250 kilograms, and that's its mass, but that's including its casing. So that's explosive casing, things like that. Explosive types, they all differ. So if it's Amtol or things like that, they explode in different ways. The thing you want to look at is your explosive mass and your TNT equivalent, and that's what you need to work out for the damaging aspect. The higher that number, the more damage it does. So you can have two 250, like two bombs identical, and they'll be different because they have different masses. Okay, so onto the YER2. So with these, just doing some maths as we go along. I should have really done this beforehand. You'll need to get to the you'll need to get to the 5,000 kilogram bomb before you can take out a base, because up until that point nothing is going to take out a base, which is really frustrating for bombers. Actually, you'll be able to use the 6.250s. The 6.250 should work. Oh no, they won't, sorry, no. So yeah, it's the 500s. So yeah, you won't be able to take out anything until you get to 500 kilograms. 4 500 kilogram bombs will be able to take out a base. The single 1,000-pounder won't be able to. So again, in this regard, you'll need to drop. You can take out 2 bases with this plane. The 500s will need to hit, and then the 1,000-pounders, the 1,000 kilograms one, sorry. But they all have to hit the base for it to actually work. So again, that makes it very hard for the pilots of those planes. Don't think they get any different bombs in those ones. No, they're all the same. So the PE8, which again is affected because it's 4.0. Of course, the nuke is going to work, and you can take the 4,000-pounders. So 2 on each base will do it. Same as before, really. There's no difference there. The PE2, however, I think will actually struggle quite a bit because it won't have any loadout where it can actually take a base out. So it's going to have to go for bombing of vehicles because it's not going to take out any bases whatsoever. You'll do some damage, but that's about it. You won't even do half damage with the bombs on the PE2, which is quite unfortunate. The YER2s, Again, you get a similar layout. Now, with these, you have got a little bit of wiggle room, so you'll have that extra 1,000-pounder. 4 of the 500-pound bombs will take out a base, so you'll be able to take out at least 2 bases, but I'm not sure if the bombs are mounted under the wings for the 1,000-pounders or if they're inside on those ones. If they aren't linked, then that will be quite good because you'll have 1 bomb remaining. TU2S, I think I called it a TU25, sorry, earlier on. You're almost downgrading going to this plane because, well, you can't carry as many bombs. You can take out one base with these, and that will be with the 500 kilograms. The 250s you won't take out a base, so that really does affect their efficiency in battle. I believe they're all the same bomb payloads, aren't they? So yeah, so they are really affected in that regard. The TU4, of course, much like the B29, similar sort of bomb wise. With the With the 1,500 kilogram bombs, you used to be able to take out a base in a single hit with those. Now you won't be able to. So you need to drop 2 of those. So it's kind of like, well, it's just as effective taking the 3,000 kilogram bombs as it is taking the 1,500 kilogram bombs. So yeah, you might as well take the biggest bombs you can, because you need to drop 2 of these to kill a base. So as you can see here, the TNT mass is 675. As we said beforehand, bases used to be 665, so it would have just been enough to kill it. But now you need to have 907 kilograms, so it will be 2 of those. So you might as well just go overkill and obliterate the base. You might even kill some ground targets while you're at it, just because its radius of destruction is bigger, so you might get some AAA kills with that. On to the IL-28. So again, you could kill a base with the 1,500, but you're better off taking the bigger bomb again, really. But this doesn't change their gameplay too much, because they've always had that effective of 1 base only kills. The TU-14, I'm not sure of its payload actually, so it might have a slightly bigger payload, but I doubt it. No, so again, you might as well take the bigger bomb. It's, you know, it's going to slow you down a bit more, but you might do some damage to some AAA vehicles beside it. So, on to England now. Now, as I said, all the Wellingtons are safe, but as soon as you get to Halifax, you have problems. Now, I'm not sure if it's a pure 4.0 game, or if you're down tiered, if you're the top tier, if it will affect it. So you might get lucky in that regard, because I haven't tested out that full range yet. I've also not had a match where I've been in a sort of 4.3 game with the Mark 10. So I haven't been able to test that out fully either, but I have had a couple of games in the Welly, and the 1,000-pounders, you need 4 of those to kill it, and that becomes a problem with the Wellington because you only carry 9,000-pound bombs. So you have got your 500-pound bombs, however they have an extremely low yield of TNT mass, so they've never been able to take out a base. Even before the patch, they would only do enough to cause a small amount of damage. So right now they'll do 393 kilograms of damage, of TNT damage. So that will mean you'll need 2 1,000-pound bombs on it to actually kill a base. So you need to drop all your 1,000-pounders and 2 of the 1,000-pounders. So that leaves you with 8 bombs. So you can still kill all the bases, but you've got to get all of those 250-pound, all of those 500-pound bombs on target. So it makes it a little bit harder for Halifax pilots, because there's also a jump in your vision when you're flying that. So as we go down to the Sterlings and things like that, of course with the 1,000-pounders you're going to be fine. However, when you are using the lower tier bombs, what was it before? So beforehand, 10 of these could kill a base. So 10 of these would just be enough to kill a base. Generally 11 though would need to hit. So it was sort of, it's one of those rough ones where, you know, if you get some perfect hits, sometimes you actually get lucky. But generally at 10 or 11, so you can only kill 2 bases usually with those. However, now you'll need 15 of them to hit. So you can still take out a base, but you won't be taking out more than one. The 250s, you're gonna have a hard time taking out a base. You're gonna need to have, well, you need 30 of them to take out a base almost. So yeah, you're not taking out a base with 250 pound bombs anymore. So when you're grinding up your Sterlings, just go for ground targets. Do not go for bases, because you're not going to do jack shit unless you get the 1,000-pounders. So that's the same for all your Sterlings, of course. I know, shame on me, I haven't unlocked all the Mark III Sterling stuff yet. I've not yet aced it. I know, I feel the shame. It's like I haven't aced all my Wellingtons yet. Lancasters, again, same issue. Now, you sort of got the same problem with the Lancaster, of course. Now, you do have the mix of bombs in there, but with the single 1,000-pounder, 6 500s and 2 250s, you're still going to have trouble. Sorry about my terrible math skills. So beforehand you could take out a base with that layout, but now you can't take out a single base with that bomb layout. You'll need to go for the 6 1,000-pounders, but you're only going to be able to kill one base with this layout as well. As soon as you get to the 14,000 pounds, as you saw in that video, you can quite easily take out all the bases, but you need to drop 12 bombs. So you only have 2 in reserve, whereas before you would have 5 left in reserve, which really does affect that plane, because it means you've got less targets to hit. scoring less points, things like that. You could take out the two 400s, but honestly it's not worth it because you're better off doing the 1,000 pounders. Again, you might get lucky and take out some AAA around the base, but you're not going to do too much. As I said, things like the Withen can no longer kill a base because they carry 3 of the 1,000-pound bombs. They used to be able to kill bases, of course, much to our chagrin, but they can no longer kill a base. So they'll leave it with a little bit of points remaining. Brigands, not a chance, they only carry 500 pounders. So pretty much it's taking out all of those sort of attackers as rollers, base killers, things like that. The Mosquito, of course, only carries 2 500s, so it's not going to have a chance of taking out a base or anything like that. Now onto the Canberra. And as I said in my previous one, you're pretty much buggered with this one now. Your best option is taking out, well, you can take out the 2 1,000 pounders and the 4,000 pounder because you're only going to be able to kill one base at a time anyway. So what you do is you drop these on the first base you come across because this will be sitting in your belly. The 4,000 pounder, that is, will sit in your belly. So you drop 2 on a base, cause some damage, and then drop the 4,000 pounder on there. The big thing to know about the Canberra is that it uses the GP 1,000 pound bomb. So in my video I said you needed 3, but you did need 4, so it's not really changed the vehicle that much, but it does change the damage system of the bases quite a bit in that sort of stage of the game for you. I forgot that it was using the GP 1000s. So here you can see the difference between the two bombs. The GP 1000 is actually a lighter 1,000 pound bomb. I know it sounds silly, but it only has 219 kilograms of explosives, whereas the MC has 290 kilograms of explosives. So you're going to be better off taking that bigger bomb with you. With the Mark 6, well, you're going to be able to take out one base and something else with your bombs, but that's it. Which was the case before, really, but it just makes it a little bit trickier sometimes. So yeah, you've just got to get used to using, it's not going to make much difference in that respect. So okay, last but not least, Japan. So your first 4.3 bomber is your KI-49 RIBL, the late version of the Betty. Is it the Betty? Yeah, it's the Betty, isn't it? I always get my Japanese planes muddled up, so please, 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 please let me know in the comments when I'm wrong. So your 8,000 kilogram bomb is not going to kill a base. Never could, never will. So ground attacking is your only option, really, is killing ground targets. Japanese bombers tend to be a bit light on their bomb loads, unfortunately, and they still haven't fixed the Navy bombs, so it's kind of crap in that respect. The main thing we need to look at, though, are the things like the B-17, the G8N1, and the G5N1. So the B-17 has the same bombs as the American version, so you can take out one and a bit of a base with it, but you can't take out 2 bases. Actually, is that the same? Because that's slightly higher. I'm pretty sure that's slightly higher, so that might be nerfed actually. Yeah, that's nerfed actually, because the American bomb is actually less TNT than that. So let me just double check that, because I thought they had the same bombs in them, but oh no, they do. Well, that's weird. Okay. So the 1,000 pounders for American B-17s, it looks like they could take out. Sorry, I'm just muttering to myself for a moment because weird. Okay. That's odd because I always needed 4 of those to kill a base. But anyway, so yeah, you're going to need 4 of those bombs to kill a base. The G5N1, you carry 4 800 kilogram bombs. Now this is where it will actually affect a plane vastly. Most planes have been sort of never been able to take out more than 1 base, or they've been able to take out a base and a few ground targets because they've had extra bombs. The Japanese bombers now, because they only have 390 kilograms of explosives in them, they used to be able to take out a base with 2 bombs. Now they need to use 3 bombs, which really has messed them up. So you need to drop 3 of your 800 kilogram bombs on a base to kill it, which also means that the 250 kilogram bombs, you need to drop a lot of those as well. You actually need to drop 10 of those to kill a base. So yeah, and they're not the most accurate things in the world, so you're going to have a very hard time with that. You used to be able to get away with, I think, 6 or 7 of them to kill a base, but now you're going to need to drop 10, so that really makes a huge difference there. But the effect of the 800 kilogram bomb is vast, because that means that you are now losing out on a whole base of a kill, basically. And I think the G8N1 actually has less, so can only kill 1 base now and not do any other damage to anything else on the game with bombs. So it has really affected those 2 planes especially. Yeah, it's a big difference maker, as you can see. As I said, I would preferably say to Gaijin, do it for the airfield only, not for the bases, because bombers have a hard enough time as it is. Especially at high BR, when you're fighting early tier jets, like you do sometimes in the Lancasters, in anything above 5.7, so you know, your G8N1s, your B29s, your late B17s, your Lancasters, the TU2s, things like that, you're fighting early jets basically. And although they weren't great, they still make a big difference to your bombing, because they can actually catch you before you get to the height you need, before you get to your bomb target. I think they've also done some lowering of altitudes and raising of altitudes or something as well. There was talk of that, so that's something to be wary of too. But this is a huge change for bombers, and it's going to affect the gameplay of a lot of people at high tier, because it's just made it an awful lot harder for us to gain RP and Lions, of course. And it's also effectively made bombers far less useful. One plane I did forget to check out, of course, was the Liberator. So not really much change there. So 4 bombs per base, so you can still only take out 2 bases with this plane. But yeah, it does really affect it. The other thing, of course, is if you do take out those bases, you're no longer going to be able to take out an airfield in a single pass unless you have B29s or TU4s, I believe. So yeah, it's really going to make it hard for a lot of people, and it's just going to make the late top tier bombers that much more OP isn't really the word, but they're going to be much more effective all in all, because they'll still be able to kill an airfield if there's a squad of 4 of them. If there's 4 B29s or 4 TU4s,
they're still going to be able to kill an airfield in one strike. It's just not going to be as easy, and they're going to need all 4 planes to actually do it. But when you're in lower tiers, when you're flying, you know, your B-17Es, your B-17E lates, the Gs and stuff like that, you're now not going to be able to take out airfields, especially with Lancasters, because that was a specialty of them. 3 Lancasters could win a game for you. Now you need 4, and even so, you're probably not going to win because you're not going to get all those bombs off. I don't even think 4 Lancasters can actually take out the airfield now in one pass. So yeah, a bit of a rant there, but a bit of information for you guys as well. I hope you found this useful, and I hope it's given you a bit of an understanding of what's changed in War Thunder and what's changed in the bombing aspect of the game, if you are wondering why your bombs are no longer as effective as they used to be. Alright guys, I hope you have a lovely day. Keep well, stay safe, and I'll catch you again. This is Screezilla out. Bye bye.